Welcome everyone to today's webinar. I'm your host, Anna Christensen, and you're joining us for Find Your Match, where we'll be talking about first impressions, initial attraction, and how to get to the heart of if someone's the right fit for your company. If you have any questions during the session, drop them in the chat and we'll address them at the end. Joining us today is our speaker, Suman Cherry, CEO of Cherry Talent Group, who has over 25 years of experience in the recruitment space. She's going to walk us through how to create the perfect match when hiring talent. Suman, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I think Anna may have cut out a little bit, so I wanted to jump in. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today, we are going to be talking about how to find your perfect match. These are going to be the 5 steps that, we at our company, we utilize this a lot with our clients. And this process has really allowed us to be able to find fantastic candidates and our clients to be able to find them quickly and to find those perfect matches. The first step is, who do you want to hire? The second step is going to be, we're going to go over crafting that perfect job description. The third step is going to be attracting top talent, interviewing, number 4, and making that right offer. So let's start. All right, so you've decided you want to hire someone, and it's like, where do we start? Well, the first place you want to start, and what we do at Cherry Talent Group, is we are talking to our clients about getting very specific on the type of person they want to hire. Ultimately, when you're defining a role, there's always going to be some type of pain at the organization, and you need to create a solution with this person. So the first piece that you're going to understand is, what are really the abilities? What are they doing from a day-to-day responsibility place? And what are the key skills? The next piece you're going to really want to look at is understanding who you are as a company. You're going to want to have people at your organization that are not going to just want to fit with the ability side, but also the core value. So making sure that you have a very clear understanding of what that person looks like, what type of dynamics or communication style. The last piece, which I think is a lot of times overlooked, is this candidate, this person you want to bring on, this employee, who are they going to be now and who are they going to be in 5 years? What opportunities for the role are there in the future? So thinking about that in the sense of, when you're hiring someone, what most important pieces are going to be important to make sure they could fit now in 5 years? And really, what does success look like for the position? And this brings us all back to going deeper. When we're working with clients on this piece, it is so, so important. This is such an important piece to understand, to go deeper. What types of people have worked in an organization before? What types of people haven't worked in an organization? What are your core values of the organization? What are your boundaries and standards? And how is the flow of the organization? So having those deeper conversations is going to allow you to have a better understanding of who you really need to hire for this role. The next piece is, you're going to really want to craft that perfect job description. And the question is like, is that really important? We have a lot of clients are like, well, is that really that important? And yes, it is. A job description is your first interaction with a potential candidate, right? So when you're creating that job description, you want it to be very simple, direct, and concise. You want to pull back, going back to the responsibilities of the role. You want to make sure you're including that, as well as avoiding any type of fluff or jargon, just being very direct in it. The next piece is, you really want to make sure that you include also, preferred. Right. So a lot of times what we do is, we create job descriptions with our clients. We talk about, okay, what are the essentials of the role? What are like the have tos, and what are the we wish they have, right? So you want to include that in your job description as well. The last piece, which I think is so invaluable, is you have to be able to sell your company. You need to be mentioning your company culture, growth, opportunities, and benefits, and really engaging on that job description as to, why does someone want to join your team? When we create these job descriptions for our clients, that is something that we put a lot of time and energy in, and our clients really give us a lot of feedback on that, because it's so important, because you want someone to look at that job description and be like, yes, I want to do that. So this goes with, let's be transparent, right? Like, let's be transparent on that job description. If you're not a remote-based company and you don't offer that, but you're thinking about offering it, don't include on the job description. If you guys are thinking about offering bonuses, but you don't offer it now, concrete facts. That's what you want in the job description. You want transparency so that the candidates that are going to be applying are going to know what you're offering for the role. The next piece is, okay, you've created this fantastic job description, and it's like, what is the next step? What is the next step with this? Well, obviously you are obviously going to want to source for candidates, right? You're going to want to post it on the job boards. I know a lot of people don't really like job boards, but they are very useful. If you know how to use a job board well, you put the job description in and you're updating the information on a weekly basis, they can be very, very beneficial. There's lots of different types of job boards. There's Indeed, LinkedIn, obviously Zip, many, many different types. But obviously, referrals through your employees at your company is a great way to source for candidates. But what we do and what we love at Cherry Talent Group is we do a lot of passive searching. So passive searching are going to be candidates who are not currently in the market. These are going to be candidates who are working for competitors or in similar industries, especially in highly competitive marketplaces where we work in a lot. We have to do a lot of passive searching. We have to look for and contact potential candidates who may not be in the market, but are open to new roles. You will also want to make sure that your website, your social media, everything else is really talking about the values and the work environment. When you are asking, people are looking at your job, they're also looking at your organization. They're also looking at your website. They're also looking at Glassdoor. They're also looking at your testimonials, especially top candidates. They're going to be looking at every piece of this. So making sure that your branding is really out there for a potential employees to see. The last piece, which I think is very, very important, is engagement strategy. So sometimes we meet a candidate who may not be the best match for this role, but they have a lot of the core values we like, or we see potential with them. Keeping them in your Rolodex to utilize in the future, you don't know where you might be in 2 years, where you might need someone. So in building those relationships, fostering those relationships, communication by not ghosting. Yes, we want to follow through on every candidate that we interview. Ideally, when we are talking to candidates, we do it with any candidate we've submitted. That may not be ideal with you guys, but if you're engaging with candidates and they interview, you need to have some type of plan to be able to not ghost them. First of all, it's just kind thing to do, just to do for a human. And second of all, this is the number one thing we hear from candidates about companies or recruiters, why they didn't work with this company again or anything else, is because they were ghosted. You don't know where you're going to want to work with this person in the future. So do the right thing and just follow up with them with a quick email and let them know, sorry, you didn't get the role. Number 4, which is very, very important, is interviewing. So we at Cherry Talent Room believe in a complete, when we're talking to our clients about interviewing, it's not just about looking at it from a perspective of just ability, but it's about a whole concept, right? We want to be interviewing based in behavior. We want to be asking very strategic questions to be able to understand who this person is outside of a resume. Obviously, you want to understand what they do from a day-to-day basis and can they do the job by asking for project samples and those types of things. But you also want to be asking for situational and really understanding who they are on the core values side. This is very, very important. And the other piece is you want to have consistency on how you guys are interviewing. So when you're going through and talking about the role and who's going to be interviewing and what the roles are going to be or what the interviews are going to be, you're going to want to pop in here and make sure everyone's asking similar questions. That way you guys can score the candidates. So if there is some positive conflict, you can have some conversations around that. You want to look at do they align with your company values? And obviously you want to make sure that they can work with your team and are adaptable. Most of this is really comes down to doing deep probes in your interviews. And really another piece that I think is an important piece is you want to make sure they're really into you, right? You want to make sure that you're into them, but are they into you? This is really, really important. You want to do judging, when you're interviewing candidates, you want to make sure that they're asking you questions. Have they done their research? Are they interested on your company, right? You want find someone who's motivated to work for your organization. It's so, so important. All right, you have found a fantastic candidate. You've gone through the interview process. Now you're ready to make the offer. And I'm going to tell you guys, the devil is in the details with this, because making the right offer, this is where the deals fall apart. Almost always is this part. And why is that? Because when we are making offers, we need to have a very, very open listening process and communicating with our candidates. We need to really listen to them and understanding what motivates them and making sure that when we're creating an offer, it's going to be something that's really going to stand out for them, right? We want to make sure that we're doing our research on what are industry standards and salary expectations in the market. And this is really something that needs to be handled way before you get to this point, right? You want to make sure that your benefits are in line with what the market is. You also want to personalize that so they can feel like this is really for them. So one of the things I think that happens sometimes is the negotiation piece. Now, a lot of times, sometimes clients will be offended because they'll give an offer and a candidate will come back and ask for more money or more vacation or have questions. This is normal. This is normal. You want to negotiate to a point that you feel comfortable with. But again, this comes back to transparency and communication as you're going through the process. And I think the really important piece with this is making sure they feel like they're the one, right? They have identified that you're the one. We have clients who do a fantastic job of branding these job offers. So when they get this, they feel like, oh my gosh, they're the one. They're so excited and they are ready to come work for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Suman. That was great advice. I love to hear you walk through those 5 steps. Every time you do it, I learn something new. So we're just going to jump to the chat now to take some questions. So if you haven't had a chance to load those yet, feel free to drop those. I do have a couple here already, but feel free to add questions as we go. So the first one, Suman, how long does it typically take to hire someone using this process?
So I'm going to revert this back to Anna because I can give my interpretation, but Anna does a lot more kind of structure around the placement side. So I'll let Anna kind of dive into this.
Basically, looking at especially over the past year, the positions that we work on at Cherry Talent Group, a good amount of time is 5 to 6 weeks. You don't want to rush the process. You want to give yourself time to make sure you're really diving into the right candidate, getting that job description right. I'm sure our recruitment team would tell you, Suman knows, it takes a while to get the description just right and to find the right candidates in the beginning. Yeah, and then again, it's 5 to 6 weeks. You certainly don't want it to drive much longer than that, right? You want to keep it into that window.
Yeah, for sure, Anna. And like she said, it's really going to come down to how detailed you are in the beginning of the process. The more that you can really understand who you're wanting to hire and what your standards are around that, and having a flow in that process is going to allow you to be able to hire someone more quickly.
What is the best way to find and get in touch with passive candidates?
So I want to first of all, I want to say passive candidates. It is something that is time consuming. Our recruiters work an average 2 hours a day when they're working on passive candidates. So yeah, you can definitely, one of the ways that you can do it if you don't want to have to spend, the cost of buying a contact list and all those kind of things, is you can just get into LinkedIn. You can do some searches, you can buy like a subscription to LinkedIn and you can connect with them. And then once you connect with them, then you can email them. So that's a good way. And there is some plugins, right, Anna, that you can plug in into LinkedIn and those types of things. I know Anna has done a lot of research for us. She researched every way to find out all phone numbers and emails. And I know there are some plugins and those types of things you can do as well.
And how many interviews is the right amount and who should be involved?
So I think that's kind of a personal situation. I mean, when you're working with us, obviously we do a minimum of 2 interviews with every candidate, but I would recommend you're going to want to do at least a first interview, just a quick phone interview or something, just a, hi, how are you? Just so they know, hey, I got your resume. I'm interested, because I know everyone gets busy. So being able to connect right away, this is what the process is going to look like. I would say, depending on and I would say the people that need to be involved, people who are going to be involved as far as like they're going to be the managers or they're going to be involved in the hiring process. So let's say you have 4 people, 5 people involved. You're going to probably want at least a minimum of 3 interviews if you're doing it.
We've got one final question here. How long should a job description be?
I would say on average, we try to keep it around a page because you want that job description to be 2 pieces. You want it to be the first part to be a selling piece for your organization. You want someone to look at that and be like, oh my gosh, I want to work there. And you want the other half to be concise language on finding the person, right? You want the job description to have the essentials, the preferred, and that's it. Because you want them to have curiosity about the role. You want to put everything out there. So that way there's something to have conversations around as well.
My apologies. We actually have 2 more questions from our live stream.
Oh,
So, what qualities do the most successful candidates have in common?
So I think if you take away ability, obviously number one, someone who takes accountability for mistakes. You're not looking for perfection, but you're looking for someone who recognizes when they make a mistake, they can have accountability and responsibility. Number two, you want to look for someone who is really a team player, who gets their joy out of everyone contributing, not just them having success, but the whole team. So looking for that humbleness in that person. And I don't know, this is so important. You want someone who has a high emotional EQ. And what I mean by that is you want people who are responsive based to the world and not reactive based. You want people who they see a problem or a situation, they're not going to rush and just try to fix it or react to it, or you want someone to just take a step back and respond to it. So a high emotional EQ. And I think the other piece is you want someone who's going to be motivated for your role. It's really important. Like, you can have all the best qualities in the role and the world, and you could have the abilities and all the core values, but if they're tired of doing that job and they've been doing it for 25 years and they're looking for the next level and they're just stepping in that role, they may not be the best match as well.
What are your thoughts on the job market in the future?
So I think that it's interesting because I've been in this recruiting role for like so many years, for it was 25 years, and I've seen it shift and change. And I think about how we used to recruit and how we do it now, for almost pulling out the phone book to find people. I think there's just a movement of moving into, I think people want to feel like, to move away from this idea of this family thing with work, but more of a community, right? That your work is going to, it affects everything in your life. You're there a lot of times. So I think people want to feel supported. I think this whole idea of having a fear-based leadership doesn't really work anymore. I think there needs to be direction and structure, but I think the hybrid piece is going to be really important as well. I know it's not always for every role, but I think having that flexibility is huge. And I think there's also going to be a push for candidates as well. I think candidates are going to have to, also brush up on requirements or additional skills they need to bring on, and to bring more into the environment as well, especially around computers and AI and all these kind of things. This is not going away, right? AI. So this is something that people need to get more comfortable with as well, the technology side.
I'm going to check our chat one more time. All right, Suman, it looks like that's it. So a huge thank you for sharing your insights today, and thank you to everyone who joined. We will be sharing this presentation with you via email, but also Suman does 30-minute one-on-ones free of charge to talk to you about your unique hiring challenges or anything that you're dealing with. She's definitely there for you guys to give that consultation. So we can easily book that if you email her or I. We can take care of that for you. Or you can find us on LinkedIn or on our website, where you can sign up for our newsletter or just get to know more about us. And we'll see you guys at the next webinar. Thanks for
Bye.
joining.